All right, market update here on the 27th. I was expecting a chill day on Friday. I thought they were just going to chop it around for another day, and I guess everybody else is probably expecting the same thing, and instead we get this move down here, which I thought would happen, but I thought it would happen after we came up here into the supply zone. So I figured we would chop a little bit. I did have this highlighted down here where we're at right now. This is a daily demand zone. And so it looks to me like the most likely scenario now is that we go higher from here. It looks like maybe they're flushing out some margin again. I'm not really sure. It looks like this was an ABC move. This could be, though. You have to watch out, though. This could end up being a first wave down too. So you could be getting, something like that. But if you're just going by supply and demand, which seems like the most reliable way to trade the market nowadays, then I'm just looking at this demand zone here, and we still have not hit this demand zone or the supply zone up here between 532 and 537. The current expected move over the next 20 days is about $15. So that would hit right in this area, and I think there's a gap. Now there's no gap here, but it would hit this area, and that would just make this an overall some kind of ABC move up here, like that, to 535. So kind of unexpected for it to go straight down from 530 right down here to 518. That's a pretty big move for one day, but that's just the way it's been going lately. I was expecting another move down, just not like that. And don't be surprised if they bring it up here to 535 and then we get another move down after that. So it could end up going like this and then straight down. And if that happens into like late January, then this would either be the C wave down and it would come up here to 560 afterwards, or it would continue down here to like 465. There's a lot of negative gamma for March. So those are the two paths I see. I would say more than likely it's going to bounce out of here. I think the most unlikely path would be to continue down here, not even bounce out of this demand zone, and then just keep on going down all the way down here to 500. That's the most unlikely. Most likely on either scenario is bouncing up here to 535. So you have to watch out though. If you're playing options in this market, then you probably got crushed today if you're doing calls or puts. I didn't mention this in the last video, but I did Apple puts. I think I said it a few videos ago. Reason being is, let's go over Apple real quick. So Apple basically hit the top of this parallel line. I don't think it's a fifth wave, but I do think that this is potentially right here. I've said this like probably a month or two ago. I think we could be right here. So maybe come back down here to 220 sometime in March. And then that would be wave 4. And then be looking for the final move higher after that. It can't go past this. The reason I have that written there right now is just in case this was the fourth wave right here, then this cannot go past 273 because of the length of this. This is right here, 124 to 198, so 74 bucks. This right here, 164 to 237 is 73 bucks. Plus this takes it to like, I guess it takes it to like 270. So it basically cannot go past 270 and be a valid 5-wave move. And so that was one of the reasons I started buying puts up here. But also, Apple has a very low IV the last like week or so. I didn't make very much money because the IV is still low. It didn't really pop that much. But did make a little bit of money from 259 down here to 254. I've taken most of it off. I think it took off like 3/4 of it. So I'm going to keep some of it just in case. I think this can go back down here to 222 though, potentially into March or April. The VIX, another sign that this I should have been following. I haven't been really that active in the market this week just because I got a lot of stuff going on and Christmas and all that stuff. But this hit a weekly demand zone right here. And so that should have been a warning sign right there. And of course, we get a pop out of it. And so where is it going to? I don't see any supply zones. So your guess is as good as mine as far as this goes. I would imagine we get more crush though. Going into, I'm going to imagine that this comes back down here 14, 15, 16 as this melts up back up here to 535. So we did get a pop out of weekly demand, but the VIX, obviously pretty hard to predict. Bitcoin. So also Bitcoin, I think that this is likely. Last time I did this video, I had this as a 4th wave. It still could be. It hasn't broken below this. If it breaks below 92,132, the low right here, then I think that this is A, B, and a C wave down. It looks like if the market bounces, this should bounce one more time though. It looks like A, B, C, B, C wave, and then come down. And it could come down here to like 87 or 89,000. If it bounces, it could come all the way up here to 103, 104,000 before coming back down here to 80,000. So, you know, looking at Bitcoin in comparison with the overall market, I think it makes the most sense that this goes like this. And then we get a move down like that. Potentially to 496. Let's see here. 496. That's another demand zone. Probably not, though. That would be very small bounce. I would say it's possible, I guess, but yeah, the 1.61 fib takes it down to 491. So it's possible that we come up here and then come back down here to 496. And then from there, we go higher. So, yeah, I'm looking for a short-term bounce probably into the end of the year. Be very surprised if this breaks below 516. Another thing to watch is the moving averages. I want to see this finish above. Let's see. No, it's not going to finish above the 20 now. So yeah, that's a pretty bad close. So we got to hope that it bounces out of this demand zone. That's the last hope. Because right now, the path of least resistance is down here to 509. So I'll be watching this close to see what happens. But yeah, it needs to bounce out here, get back up here. But then from there, I'd be bearish again. Let's go over Tesla. So my last video on Tesla, I did members only video. I had this going. Well, it looked like it was going to go higher. It looked like. But you know what happened? This is what happened. This ended up being W, and then this ended up being an expanded flat. For a B wave is what it looks like to me, or it could be an A wave, depending on what happens here. It's more than likely it's going to be the same as QQQ, so it's probably going to do this. up here to 470, 480, like that. And then I would expect that move down from there, like that. So I don't think that the market, I don't know, it's going down now. Let me zoom in here. So this might make one more low. Let's just say that. Because this right here is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So if it makes one more low, then I'm expecting a bounce. And at that point, maybe we don't get to 535. Maybe we only make a second wave here. Maybe this ends up being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down here to 496. So I would expect minimum out of this bounce, I would probably expect 529 one more time. And for Tesla, maybe it's the same thing. The more I look at this, the better grasp I get. It could end up being a first wave as well. But let's look at the timing of this. This is started right here, so December 17th. So 9 days. So yeah, this doesn't really have a chance though to bounce, or at least it shouldn't have a chance to bounce and then come down like this. So we'll see how it plays out. I'm expecting a bounce, maybe one more low on this, and then a bounce similar to QQQ. But really, we just need to look at the supply and demand zones and follow those the most. Because, you know, Elliot Wave is showing one more move down, but the way that the market's been moving, it's just more reliable to use supply and demand. So that's what I see on all of these. I see a bounce coming up, and then I definitely see one more low. There's going to be one more low at some point. Apple, okay, it's coming down a little bit. I don't see any good demand zones on this, so I would just be watching moving averages here. You got the 20 at 248. I'd probably sell my last of the options if it comes down here to like 250, because this is probably going to at least bounce back like that into earnings, I would imagine. But potentially getting that down here to 220. At 220, I'd probably be a buyer. Coin, I've owned this one for a while. I messed up. Happens sometimes. I messed up on this right here. I thought that we were going to get like a smaller fourth wave here and then make one more high. Instead, it kept on coming down, so I've been hedging a lot. My overall shares are down right now, but I had a nice put gain on this, and I still am holding my put and my covered call because it looks to me like there should be one more low, potentially down here to 250, 240. We'll see. It's in a demand zone, but after that is finished, I'm expecting it to go to new highs. 3, 4, and 5 like that. And then I'm expecting fourth wave and then one more move higher later in the year. So I don't have any problem holding my shares right now, but I am hedging to make sure my losses are not that big. I have 100 shares, so let's go over. I'll do SoFi later. Let's go over these miners real quick. I mean, these miners are absolutely terrible. Also, in another demand zone here. But it looks to me like this is finishing off a third wave. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Should bounce a little bit and then probably get another move down here. There's a gap down here at 16 bucks. Probably coming down here to 1650 on Mara, which is pretty painful if you're long and Bitcoin is down only 14,000 and Mara is going to be down here at 16 bucks. Looks to me like this is probably going down here to 12 bucks. It looks like it's probably going to end up going like this. Similar pattern right here. It looks like it's a WXY move. So ABC, ABC, ABC. There's monthly demand down here at 12 bucks, but we'll see how it goes. It's in demand right now. That's another thing. Same thing with QQQ and Tesla. They're all in demand. So one other thing I want to say is all of these moves, like, obviously I'm not perfect either, but I am definitely taking into account the IV on these stocks. Like on Tesla, when we were up in here and I was saying, oh, it could go to 500, I wasn't 100% confident on that. And I've said that we could be in a fourth wave or we're going to make a fifth wave higher. And so what do I do in here? I didn't do anything. I had no positions. I didn't want to trade it at all. The IV was high. The only thing I did when it was up here is sold puts. I have those sold puts. I was down on them like decently right here. But my break-even average on those sold puts is 368 for the 31st of January. Obviously, you got to have a bigger portfolio to sell puts on Tesla right now, but that's the best way to play it right now. The IV's at 98%. You don't want to be buying options here. You could potentially do the inverse ETFs, but I don't really like those anymore. I did them like a month ago, and I had a small loss, I think, on them. Selling puts here is just the easiest way to make money on this stock right now, or buying shares. But IV high, I don't want to buy calls. I don't want to buy puts. You could sell covered calls if you own shares, but I don't own any shares. So selling puts is just the easy way of going about it. It's in demand right now. Even if it loses this, let's say it ended up going down here, I would still come out ahead because my break-even's at 368. So just wanted to share that on Tesla. You don't need to be trading this right now. Just wait for it to go between these two. If it did come up here to 500 with IV high, you could buy puts there and probably be fine because you could just go way out. You could go 3 to 6 months out, buy puts, and you'd probably be profitable no matter how high the IV is, because once this hits 580 or even 500 right now, it's probably coming back down here to 360. So you'd be good on those, I would say 90% of the time or so. So Tesla in demand, looking for a bounce. We'll see if we get it. What else have we been looking at? NVDA came into demand again. I bought more here at 136. Could come lower, maybe add a little bit more. It is potentially still following what I had laid out here, which was 140, 150, pullback, and then 160. Right here in demand, I would expect it to bounce. Let's see if there's another demand zone now, or supply zone. There'd be a supply zone up here around 140. So if you bought at 136, you could just sell at 140 if you were afraid of it coming down here again. But there's a lot of support in this area. I think there's also moving averages maybe. No, there's not actually. The next moving average is actually the 200. So similar to QQQ, it's got to hold this demand zone and bounce out of it. But I still like the way I have this set up here with the A wave up here in the high 140s, pullback, and then a C wave up here to 160. So we'll see if we get that. It looks like it broke above that. So what happened the other day? I sold at 140. You can see how these supply and demand zones are so important. Up here to 140, I sold half my shares. Comes back down here to 136, I add to my shares. And now we see what happens. If it just bounces back here to 139, I could sell again. Or I could wait for a bigger pullback. But again, there's not really any supply zones now. We already hit it once. Maybe it breaks above it on the next move higher. There's no supply zones above that. So we'll see how it goes. Clean spark, I'll go over that real quick because it's another miner that's just getting absolutely demolished. It's in demand again. From 18 bucks a month and a half ago down to 9 bucks. Absolutely brutal. Same pattern as Mara potentially. We got 5 waves, bounce, down, bounce out of it, down. So this might take all the way till March. There's going to be a bounce after this, whether it's here or it's down here at the 930. There's another demand zone down here. This is going to bounce probably to the 0.78 fib. So that's back up here at 15 bucks. So it's probably going though all the way down to now that we have the, it's going to go down here to 6 bucks. More than likely. Maybe 7 if you're lucky. But again, it doesn't really matter because it's going to bounce here soon. If you're long, just sell up here. Let's see what else. AMD, got to go over AMD. So AMD, I haven't done anything. My average is still 127. I have 450 shares. It made 5 waves higher out of that demand zone. I got rid of that demand zone. Now you have a gap down here at 120. Is it going to make it there? I don't think so, but maybe. But I'm comfortable with my position at 127. I'm still just waiting, and it looks like there's a very good chance it could end up doing this. 5 waves now up here to 137, and then pull back, and then move higher. However, I don't know how that's going to play out with the overall market likely to make a new low. So regardless, I don't really care. I bought where I wanted to buy it at, and it has just started this move. I still think the pattern it's going to do is this. Either up to here and then down, or it's just going to go to 137 and then down. 137 and down means it's going to the low 90s. 150 and down means it's going to like 110. But I will be selling 100% in this area right here, 137 to 144. Oh man, what else we got here? I sold all my shares on Zim. I bought those in the 18s, sold them at up to 2160. It's up higher now. And I knew at that point it could go all the way back up here to 23 bucks, but I was just like taking profit. It's probably going to get stopped here at the 50. And then I'm looking for a pullback on this. And then probably another move higher. So we'll see how that goes. It'll probably be pretty quick too. It'll probably happen within the next week or so. And then move up maybe into the January 17th expiration. But we'll see. All I know is that's a supply zone. I want to be selling into that. Let's see what else we got here. I haven't looked at Boeing in a while. So the market's just sitting there now. I want to pull up Tesla though. Not that I really care about Tesla. I sold puts on this, so I don't really care. If it goes down, that's fine with me. Let's see here. Boeing, 180. I sold my options at 170 in that weekly zone right here, and it went through it. It's pretty overextended though, but it looks like it's probably going much higher. And this is what I said a long time ago. I just sold too early because it was overextended. But it could just be, let's go to the weekly. Yeah, this might just keep on going all the way up here to 240 or 200. It looks to me like it might be in a nested move. So we have 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 potentially, and then like just go like that all the way up to complete the overall E wave or second wave. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or you have A, B, C, D, and working on E. All of these had, I think they all pretty much had an ABC move. So I would expect this to pull back at some point and then make a C wave higher. So that's why I'm not going to chase it. Let's look at where the 1.61 fib is on this right now. So 220 right now. So maybe it goes high enough where it can get all the way up here to 240. So it might be going straight to 200. Don't be surprised. It might actually be worth like nibbling on some shares, but it is overextended, so it's kind of hard to do that. I would say 200 is a very likely target soon. So nice move on Boeing. And what else are we going to look at? Palantir, is that up today? Down a little bit. Palantir is just going to continue to go higher, I think. Here's my count on it. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we got an extension. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have this as wave 3 up here, but then it went higher. I'm expecting a wave 4. This is kind of confusing right here. Get rid of that. So I have this as wave 3. Let's go to the weekly. Easier to see. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. This is a crazy move. 30 bucks on this extension all the way up to 80 bucks. So I think it's still got, it hasn't even made a fourth wave of this move yet. So we're only right here. So it's got to make a fourth wave, and then it's going to go higher than that. That would be the overall third wave. So this has got a lot more to go. 1, 2, 3, pullback 4, and then a fifth wave higher. Who knows how high this is going to go. By the time 2025 is up, this could be well north of 100. It's just like gotten to the point where nobody wants to buy it because it's so extended, and then it just keeps on going higher. Symbiotic, I bought more of that at 24. And yeah, I don't know. Give me some more tickers in the comments that you want me to look at. I think that's pretty much it for right now. In summary, QQQ might make one more low, but then I'm expecting a bounce back up here to minimum 529. Minimum. That's the gap fill from today. On the hourly, it's really oversold, and it usually does not stay oversold on the indexes. It usually bounces back like this right here. So 529 minimum, potentially up here into this supply zone at 535. If that happens, it's going to end up being an ABC move, and then I would expect a move down from there. But right now, maybe one more low and then bounce. Rough day if you are long and you're expecting to get more upside, but it's just teaching you a lesson to be balanced in the market. You got to have balance. You can't just be all in. You can't be all short. You got to have balance. You got to learn to sell options, buy options when you need to buy options when the IV is low. Take it all into account because that's the only way to be successful in the market is be balanced, in my opinion. You can hit some home runs, but eventually it's going to not work out for you. That's it for this video. Leave me a comment, like, subscribe for more updates, and maybe I'll do an update here later or tomorrow.